obviously not working out. So it'll be interesting to see if EDG decide to change strategies going up against this. Either way, would be pretty par for the course if we saw AD carry come out here, and they will change up. They'll go for that Jinx, that long range, that team fighting potential. And already, this is heavy resets coming out from EDG, right? Both of these champions, you get a kill, you'll look to snowball. And now for BLG on the other side, kind of standard par for the course would be like jungle support here, right? Pick the Nautilus to kind of deny it away as an answer. They are going to go for that Lee Sin. A lot of power, a lot of pressure. It'll be interesting if they go for a mid laner here, if they opt to prioritize potentially something like the Ahri here, right? It's kind of now or never, it will get banned. And I do like it with the Lee Sin, right? You land a charm, Lee Sin lands a Sonic Wave. Great burst potential on a strong 2v2.
Yeah, very, very solid setup here for the side of BLG. They don't need to go into their support just yet. They know that they have got themselves the options with a couple of things still left on the board. Only the Renata banned away. And now EDG, do they want to try and take their support of choice? And no, they're going to put Scout back onto the Twist of Fate. He didn't have a bad game in game one when it was very far ahead of FoFo, who was taking the Galio in that particular series. But this time around, it's going to have a lot more kill pressure on his head.
Honestly, I like it here, right? I think it's good into Zeri if he doesn't have cleanse, that point and click CC, frustrating to deal against, because with rapid fire cannon, he's pretty much always going to outrange you. And on top of that, on the Ahri as well, a great way of keeping it still. It also adds into that single targeting off EDG to get those resets. Now, we're seeing support bans start to come out from EDG. Interesting enough, the Nautilus, because we often see the likes of the Nautilus, the Alistar into the Zeri. So seeing that one banned away, but still looking to trim down Chris Pool. I could see from the side of BLG, there's a lot of options, right, in terms of top laners, potentially for Flandre. They're going to ban away the Graves here. We could also see the Tahm Kench actually banned, which hasn't really been touched yet in this draft phase, but often is high priority, especially with the Jinx.
See what they wanted to go with it. I would expect maybe, honestly, I wouldn't even mind to see a Leona ban here from EDG, or just to ban something that could maybe do well into the Leona, pick themselves that themselves so they know that's going into it. No, they're going to get rid of Gwen. Thank God we have finally gotten rid of that champion, because as much as Zeri is pretty powerful, the Gwen is obnoxious.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Zeri's 100% win rate in the series. So is Gwen. Kind of, especially those two in unison. So they'll ban that one away. Now it's kind of interesting for BLG. I feel like a support ban might be rough here, because if you ban Leona, they'll probably take, you know, things like the Alistar, the Tahm. If you ban, there's a lot of options that you don't want to thin down your pool, because EDG, they could just take support here and have priority on it. We'll see what they go for, though. There's also some blind tops available. Now, we haven't seen too much this series, but is an option. Either way, I feel like top lane kind of pick would probably be better, and they are toying with the idea of that Tahm Kench I talked about before. So much safety to this Jinx, and I really like that pickup.
Yeah, big movement here now for EDG, kind of saying, look, we know our strengths lie. Our strengths lie in that bot side. We are giving you so many tools to just keep this AD carry alive. Viper doing so damn well on big carry champions. We know how high this guy's ceiling is. And it's got to be an answer into the Zeri. This time around, though, there is not going to be a Xin Zhao. There is not going to be a Gwen. So I'm curious to see how this game now will kind of transition after those two massive picks no longer exist.
Definitely does change the dynamic. Now, we see the Alistar picked up. I think this is critical because BLG need engage. It's going to be difficult getting in range of EDG with that composition. But with the idea of the Tryndamere. So, you know, we've seen the Tryndamere picked a fair bit as a counter to various things. But this is kind of Breeze saying, I don't think there's really too much you can pick to match this, right? Jace and Gwen off the table, but even then, Jason Graves aren't necessarily the best, and looks like Flandre might go for the Gnar in this situation. It can keep the Tryndamere at bay, but if you fall behind, he will run over you, right? He will just dive you when you're a mini, bully you out, so definitely potential volatility, but they are going to lock it in. Now, I think we can kind of take stock of where things are, right? Mid jungle for BLG, extremely strong. And they have a top lane matchup where if they snowball it, boom, blows the game open. They also have Zeri who can do Zeri things. But I feel like EDG's composition, I kind of like quite a bit when it comes to the mid game team fights, even the late game team fights. If anyone steps up to you, they get stun carded, they get killed, we get a reset, boom. They just move forwards like that and keep you at bay. I feel like BLG, I'm looking at this early game to come out strong. Maybe I'm going to have some concerns.
Concerns. I was going to mention that I wouldn't mind even a Scion here for Flandre, but obviously opting in towards that Gnar can do well, can have some decent split put pressure and plenty of ways to build it as well. If you want to go Hullbreaker to deal with the 1v1, you can go with that with the Triforce. You can can even go in towards the Divine Sunderer and the Ransward's Omen pickup. There's a lot of different ways you can bid it, so it does give you a little bit more flexibility in that side. But that is going to be the picks and bans done for this last game in this last series. Both these teams desperate for a win. For BLG, it puts them that little bit closer to playoffs. It doesn't 100% lock them, but they are so ever so close. And for EDG, it's about kicking the slump and locking themselves into the top 10. This game can decide so much for these teams going into the playoffs.
Absolutely, and I feel like we've had an exciting game one, exciting game two, and we're sort of set up for more excitement in this one. Really feel like BLG are the ones we expect the early pressure to come out from, and in fairness, we saw WeiWei with a really strong jungle performance in that game too. He's on the Lee Sin here. I am really looking at him to establish control, especially pre-6 when the Viego is a bit weaker.
Here we are jumping onto the Rift. Both teams going to be fanning out to make sure there's no level 1 shenanigans, as we like to say here in the LPL, but both teams just happy to make sure that they're not really in a bad situation.
Yeah, and tracking the lead, pretty important, right? We've seen a lot of teams make these attempts to get that early vision, get them down on jungle camp, see where they're going. I think keeping tabs on where the Lee Sin is will be important, particularly, I think, for the bot lane, right? Because you have that Jinx who has the AoE from the rockets, you're able to find push fairly comfortably, especially into an Alistar lane. Alistar really posing little to no threat, level 1 in most scenarios, so I expect that lane to be applying that pressure, and as a result, we can see, you know, WeiWei path down towards that potentially, and look to gank. Alternatively, top lane, you want to enable that Breathe can do what he wants. He's even gone ghost in this situation. This is not, I am going to build, you know, I'm going to join team fights probably and look to have an impact there when I've won lane. This is, I want to crush the side lane into the ground. If I do join team fights, it's because I'm so monster strong that I can just run everyone down.
Well, using that early pressure and early mobility to get himself back up onto the top side of the map, pops down a ward onto the red buff. I think they're pretty confident he did that, though, as he now pops himself behind the minion wave. And we are going to start seeing now both these teams finally getting themselves out into the brush. See now where they want to go with this. As we can see, Flandre, he actually went with the fleet footwork. Is what is going on right now? Both these top laners are just kind of looking at each other. It's like, oh, you didn't see me. I'm in the brush. And now they finally get themselves into a common laning state.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where you play around the brushes quite heavily in the top lane, but also for Flandre, like, you're trying to pick up that first wave without really giving Breathe a chance just to spin on you. That's always the fear, right? Is that Breathe just spins on you, gets a crit, and suddenly you're chunked out enough that a potential dive that can come in later. Now, we see the junglers, both of them pathing up towards the top side. It does mean that Viper Meiko, as expected in this 2v2, can just push the waving and zone BLG away. No real reprieve is going to come for them for the time being. But BLG will spot Jiejie on the top side, and for WeiWei, you know, if the opportunity arises, you could dive the mini-gnar, but for the time being, you kind of just want to keep both your solo laners safe because they do both have priority in their lanes, and it also means that you're probably going to be able to take that top side scuttle and perhaps even contest Jiejie on it because you have the backup of your solo laners.
And the big thing as well, like you said, is that BLG, they've got themselves a much bigger kind of, you know, solo lane setup. They are looking at winning lanes, and for EDG it is about getting those resets, about those team fights, keeping this AD carry safe and looking to try and utilize the enemy team against themselves, you know, getting that Viego to get those resets on the Heartbreaker, getting those extra abilities available to you. The extra mobility in CC can be absolutely massive, especially on something like Alistar, for example. But we'll see what they want to go for. WeiWei now moving up towards this top side. They may feel like they want to go for a dive here. Would be very early. Flandre should just be able to keep this wave away from the tower. That's exactly what he's going to be doing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If they could bring FoFo up, that'd make a big difference. But the wave bounced back mid, so he's not really going to be able to freely move at the moment. Now, these trades are critical, right? It Breathe, spins in, gets a crit or two. That could be enough to signal a go for the dive. He does end up having to use the heal, though. Loses that crit chance. So now Flandre, I don't think this is a smooth dive. He's pretty close to Mega, and he's pretty, I mean, he's not healthy, but he's plenty on HP. Again, keeping the minions away. They're not really going to find anything. Just a good job by Flandre, honestly, to mitigate this.
Yeah, really, really solid play there from Flandre. Just kept the minion wave away from the tower, making sure that no matter what happened, he was going to be safe. Gets up to his mega, and then it's just basically a very bad idea for anyone on the side of a BLG to really try and contest it. I will say it is still advantage to Breathe. He actually popped his ghost at some point, so not quite sure. Maybe they were really trying to make that dive happen in the top side and just wasn't really going to be able to make it work. And now we see EDG just trying to just soak up all of this early pressure, because it is a little bit on BLG to make these early aggressive plays happen for them, because they are the one with the winning solo lanes and the big skirmishing jungler in Lee Sin.
100%. And I think a big thing is this mid jungle. You know, what I like to see sometimes is that the support can move up, can find a kill onto the enemy mid lane, particularly a TF. That sort of keeps him locked in lane if he's flashless, right? If he's being pressured out. The problem is in this situation, your support has no room to move right now because he has been pressured in the tower, because Jiejie was over there offering that support. They really went uncontested. But we do have a wave bouncing back now. It's kind of good timing for EDG, right? As Jiejie starts to move away, they'll be pretty safe in the tower. But this is kind of the opportunity, right? I would like to see BLG push this wave in, and then Crisp can start to move. But they might not get the opportunity to do so.
He's going to have his escape, but they actually go in with the W there. Meiko just trying to maybe like keep away. They don't fully commit Jiejie just yet, but now they'll know that he was there. He's just have the Herald Mist just kind of walking around him. So I like the idea from EDG, basically kind of saying, look, we're covering for a potential gank, but we're also seeing if they go too far extended, we can capitalize.
100%. And I think the thing is that you'll often see those timings played around heavily, like the wave state, when you find those moments where one side is forced to overextend and push. Now, Flandre's starting to bully out the Tryndamere. And overall, I feel like the state of the game at the moment, EDG pretty happy with it, right? You know, nothing really has came to fruition for the side of BLG. Top lane, we haven't seen any massive advantage picked up for Breathe. He's going to be up in CS after this wave. But on top of that, the mid jungle, right? We said BLG's mid jungle, a lot of strength level 3. But really, when that level 6 comes in for Scout and Jiejie, that's when the matchup gets a little bit more even. And we are closing in on that point. Scout already has the Destiny in hand.
It's the big level 6s we were talking about. You've got it for Flandre, you've now got it for Scout. You're just waiting for Jiejie to catch up just a little bit as WeiWei now puts himself bound in towards this bot side. Dragon's still up and available. Minute and a half until the Rift Herald spawns, and that's going to be probably the next big port of call for both of these teams. As we can see now, both junglers just trying to see how far they can take this, how much they can get going. And that's a good little word there onto the blue buff by WeiWei, saying, look, if I can see where this Viego is going, I'll know exactly where I can look for make an advantage. And he knows he's on the blue buff immediately, so therefore he knows he's probably on the top side.
Yeah, they have prio in bot lane, they have information, they have prio mid, they got everything they need to go for this dragon. And BLG just will be able to pick that one up. You see EDG moving over, but I think this is mostly just looking to get a reset for Scout by pushing the wave in. And Jiejie is going to head over to that blue buff. For the time being, again, you know, Dragon's nice for BLG, but still, I think a lot of this early game, if it's going inactive, I feel like EDG are going to be happy with that one, because now, you know, we talked about the potential dive plays onto this mini Gnar. It's going to be a lot harder when there's a potential Twisted Fate who can just ult. You know, it makes it very, very risky to go for those plays if the Destiny's available, and can really just shut down that pressure for the side of BLG.
And for BLG, like you said, they've lost that window, if you say, for that very early advantage they might have had now that the Destiny Gate has been available. Where do you want to see them, you know, try and overload EDG? Where do you want to try and see them highlight if they can't really go for a super safe dive on top or mid because of the Destiny Gate?
I think you go mid, right? Because if you target the lane, it's just a fate. He can't Destiny there. If you burn his flash, great, even better. It means he has to be a bit more precarious when moving into the fog of war. And critically, it's about getting vision control in the area. So definitely a lot of positives if they can pull that off. For the time being, though, it is that look towards that Rift Herald, right? And this ult we'll see come out. It won't really achieve anything. We often see these ults come out from Jinxes where they're trying to stop a recall. Uzi hasn't actually started his yet. But the critical thing is they still see him on the map. They know, right? They've already brought Viper and Meiko over. This is 5-man strong from EDG. And WeiWei just reset. So I don't think they're going to really be in time to contest this unless EDG gets spooked and start playing it slow.
Yeah, I'm going to see EDG maybe look to try and just take this one. This would be pretty good for them to be able to try and, you know, keep that acceleration going. Breathe will spin to win outside of the vicinity of the fight. Drop down those traps. Very, very powerful tool to be able to zone out any kind of control. Jiejie picks himself up the Rift Herald. They will leave the Scuttlebug over to WeiWei, and that's going to be a pretty decent setup here for EDG.
Good start. And honestly, this was just EDG being sharper on the resets, getting that bot lane there first, and not even that much is missed out on by Viper. He's still up in farm, right? Uzi overstayed bot. And that's the thing, is that sometimes we see teams do this thing where they don't move their AD carry, right? The AD carry stays bot, they get a plate or two. It can sometimes end up being even if the Herald isn't utilized effectively. But Uzi still, like, started to move up, right? And so Uzi didn't get anything on the bot side, and they lose out in the Herald. It's just a lose-lose scenario for BLG. And now you can see him a little bit concerned. Oh, FoFo, he's gonna have to ult.
Gonna have to ult, yeah. He's already used one and flash as well. Knew if he got hit by the Heartbreaker, he was going to die to the Ignite of Scout, who had got that up in his unsealed spellbook. Very, very well played. And this is EDG just kind of, again, we're seeing this is kind of what we expect from the series when we came into week 1, if you will, of the split, the spring split 2022, is that EDG just being smarter around the map. BLG very slow, very much not doing a lot for the first 10, 15 minutes of the game. And it is just leaking out to be EDG getting small incremental advantages.
Yeah, and now the Herald being thrown down as well. Gold going between Viper and Jiejie. So getting that lead for the Jinx, but now Scout actually gets caught out.
Why? Why? You were out. Now he has to use his flash. He's going to get the gold card, but I feel like he's already dead. There's nowhere for him to really go here. He's going to try and bring Breathe back in front of Jiejie, I should say, but this is a Tryndamere with an undying passion for blood, and that's going to be an easy turnaround.
The block.
Crisp coming in with a thumbs up saying, don't worry, buddy, I got you.
And an uncharacteristic horrific mistake from Scout, quite frankly. You were out. You even saw Breathe. Can I just be like, okay, I guess we don't get this play? Starts the Destiny in front of the Ahri. What? I don't know. What was the game plan?
Just a very, and this is the thing, and this is something I love bringing into certain teams, unforced errors. Errors that are just so, just not something you needed to do, not something you needed to try, outplay, quote unquote, because the easiest answer was the simplest answer, and that was, or the correct answer was the simplest. He sees Breathe, so he knows he's there, and he kind of goes, okay, I'm a little bit overextended, I'll pop the Destiny Gate. Breathe then walks away.
He spins away. Oh, man. Like, he was like, we're not getting the play. At least I forced the Destiny. I don't know, man, Scout. That was, I get it, you're world champion. That was rough.
That was very rough, and Scout just kind of dropping the ball. Maybe, I will say this, and I will always give defense to a lot of the different players. Maybe he thought that it was a spin on top of him, so therefore he thought maybe he had to try and Destiny.
Nah, that's a reach. That's a cope,
I'm
honestly.
trying, man. I'm trying.
Don't try that with me. There's no way, bro. No, absolutely not. I will not allow that. I will not allow that. No, shut it down. Instantly shut it down, dude. Here's the other direction. No way, man. That would be more damning if that was the case, in all honesty.
Well, we're looking at now Flandre and Breathe finding each other in this jungle as Dragon has now spawned. BLG looking to maybe contest this one as they have moved down their top laner. So don't have flash on Scout. You will have Destiny Gate up very, very soon. It looks like EDG will have enough prio in that bot side to make sure they guarantee themselves this objective.
Yeah, so managed to secure it and managed to get control of the area first and foremost. And critically, they managed to equalize in terms of dragons, so Soul is slowed down by a fair bit. And we kind of take stock of where the game is now compared to our expectations. Top lane, Breathe isn't ahead, right? He's down in levels, down in gold. He did manage to get that kill, obviously from dive to the tower, but still not really finding that success we hope that the Tryndamere would have in that lane. That being said, he is able to get an extra plate there and will be a thorn in the side lane. For the most part, my focus is on this bot lane. Look at the gold discrepancy, 500. Oh, tower low, but they're engaging.
I mean, Meiko is not feeling that he had to use it just yet. I was just about to say, he didn't feel like he needed to use the Devour right up until Uzi had fully engaged and fully committed to it. Viper, though, recognizing that he does not have the safety of that cooldown anymore, is going to have to try and back away. And unfortunately for the side of EDG, that wave is kind of frozen against them. It's pushing up into Uzi, so they are going to try and maybe just make this one a little bit more awkward for them. And Saj, for everybody in the chat, that is a cannon minion gone awry.
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations for Meiko where if you ult too late, it's not even going to save him. But it's unfortunate because nothing was burned by BLG, right? They didn't even burn any summoners, any ultimates themselves. But you kind of have to play a little bit safe from the Tahm Kench. And obviously it's a longer cooldown, right? It's no longer the Tahm Kench. You can just eat them, have it on like 20 seconds, and have that safety net. So a little bit of vulnerability for EDG. But fortunately, Jiejie is on the bot side, offering some cover. But we do see WeiWei and Chris pairing up. to set up some control, and they have prior mid again for FoFo. You know, this is what we've been talking about, this mid jungle. A lot of pressure in the early levels. Can they find something here?
Here we go. They're going to try and make it work. There's going to be the headbutt. Jiejie is just being so trigger disciplined right now, saying, look, I'm not going to move up. I'm not going to overcommit because I know that we don't need to show just yet. There's no dragon available. It's in 3 minutes time. So you are just basically mitigating all that pressure from BLG, and Scout does get himself back up into the mid lane. They don't lose anything. So this is good, you know, absorption here from EDG, and specifically from their bot lane.
Yeah, and honestly, Scout didn't even really move from mid. Like, you kind of expect the Twisted Fate to start walking down, and that's enough of a threat, but he was chilling. The core of EDG was like, we're fine. There's no way they make this play work. And Crisp actually headbutt the minion, trying to go for like a flash pulverize, but he knew Viper has sums, and it's Viper. Of course he's going to flash that. So ultimately, they don't find the play bot lane, and then the pressure comes out in return, and EDG able to get that tower, but BLG looking up towards the top side. We finally get that 3-man lean that I was kind of looking for earlier. We even have Crisp in the wings, so they will be able to pick up this tower. It won't be first, but at least finding some momentum, some gold for breathe.
Yeah, a little bit of momentum, a little bit of a kind of overwhelming in that top side. Flandre playing it very well. Actually rushes the Triforce, so has that first item, so is very much looking to try and just duel out this BLG top laner in the Tryndamere. So able to have a lot of early game damage. You can see how much it was helping him as well. He was able to kind of take those advantages and take those skirmishes very much in his own stride, as we now see FoFo maybe getting run down a little bit here, but with the ward all in the tri-brush, it is going to be very easy for him just to walk away and keep himself very, very safe. Now, coming up just past 15 minutes in the game, Rift Herald has spawned. We might see another 5v5 here. All summoners available. Scout, though, missing his flash, has got a substitute for a heal, and BLG are willing and ready to try and fight for this.
Yeah, they have 5-man strong. Flandre is coming from base, but remember, he won't have his Mega Bar charge. He is going to TP in. This looks like we're getting a contest for this second Herald. Look at Crisp on the flank, ready to engage.
Yeah, they're going to try and go for it. The Herald, though, down to 900 is secured, but they just use this on EDG. Say, cool, look, this Herald only guarantees you really a tower push, so we're going to be able to trade that one straight away. So, yes, EDG do commit their teleport from Flandre, but they also make sure BLG can't rush back to mid, and they trade back the turret for the Herald.
Yeah, they get the mid lane tier 1, which is often the goal of the second Herald, right? Is to secure that mid lane tier 1. What I do expect to see with 50 seconds until that third dragon, BLG have that Herald in pocket. We're probably going to get them resetting, coming mid, throw down the Herald, use that pressure to get control of the area. And EDG, they're going to be a little bit slower on these resets coming out. Now, it is Hexgate, so you can afford to be a little bit behind just because you get that extra speed getting out the base. But I feel like this is going to be a pretty pivotal one if both teams up the contest, right? We don't have the rapid fire completed for Scout. I think he might be looking for it. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to reset in time and grab it, but it's such a massive spike for Twisted Fate if you can have that one in pocket. Time being, BLG don't even use the Herald yet, but they do have control of the area.
Yeah, I think the call right now, you can see from EDG, they haven't moved down Scout. He's lost his teleport, so he's got a ghost in his summoner's inventory instead. So I think they're just going to say, look, you take the dragon, it's only second Drake. We don't care that much about it. We're going to take ourselves a turret, keep ourselves in tow with the gold, and that's going to be enough of a trade here. So again, this is kind of the difference we see from a lot of the top teams. It's not just about fighting over every single objective. It's trading up and down depending on what you go for. Oh, WeiWei, that was close. That was very, very close. Now he's caught between a rock and a hard place. Does safeguard over the wall. BLG maybe got a little bit complacent there, trying to get the resets off for the Tryndamere, and they almost paid very dearly for it.
Yeah, bit of an ebb and flow. You can see BLG were like, okay, we got this. We don't really need to hold up too much presence, and as a result, EDG just able to scare them off. But I think EDG, it's fine to make that play, right? You're still up in gold. You're about 2,700 ahead. The second dragon isn't too much of an issue. It does mean that Soul Wincon is quite a bit away, but I feel like EDG are comfortable taking this one later, right? They're gonna have Scout's rapid fire on this back. He's just picked it up now. This is where they got a lot of strength. I think particularly if Viper can get his rapid fire on the next reset, it's playing with that range, because that is where a discrepancy will come out. If you get up close to EDG, great. But if you're sort of at an arm's distance away, you'll get stun carded, the Jinx will start hammering down, and that will make things difficult. Now, they are throwing down the Herald to get that tier 1 mid.
Tahm comes out, Everfrost does land. Shelly gets her head bop, and that's going to be a very simple tower take here for BLG now. Put the Tryndamere on the backside, the Destiny 8 comes in, that's over to the side of the wall with that rapid fire, he gets the extra range, and that's going to be a dead FoFo. Uzi forced to flash away because he knows if he gets caught, he is just going to die, and that's going to be a very, very good opportunistic kill here for EDG.
I love the angle from Scout going over the wall with a rapid fire cannon, and it's almost like a signal. We have that tool in our arsenal, that extra range. It's such a massive spike for Twisted Fate. As soon as they get it, they're like, right, go. They apply the pressure, they get that tier 2 mid super powerful. Do they lose that tier 1 on the side? Yeah, they're not really that bothered, right? It's a bit of gold traded back, but ultimately the pressure you get from taking that mid tier 2 so valuable, and as their extra reward, they'll sweep through, clear out some jungle camps, and take those away from BLG as well. Great play from the side of EDG.
Look now, as we come to 20 minutes, we talked about the win conditions, the early game for both these teams. I want you to kind of give, as we look at the replay here, this is just a great flanking setup, but this is kind of what we said. The longer this game goes, the more opportunities you're going to have, and why the TF is just so damn powerful.
Yeah, stunned over the wall. Still limited counterplay, right, for the Ahri. Didn't actually have any mobility tools to get out of that one, but the Everfrost follows. But yeah, I mean, I think if you want to talk about the sort of win cons for this team, I'd take a look at WeiWei, Lee Sin, 0-0-0. Yep. 20 minutes in the game, level 11. That is never what you want to see, right? You don't pick Lee Sin to be 0-0-0 at 20 minutes. I think it goes without saying. And I feel like EDG right now on a real power point, and they curve very well into the later stages of the game, right? Because the stun cards from Scout will help keep Viper safe. They can play the front to back very, very comfortably. And really for BLG, they have side lane pressure, right? They're 4-1, very effective. They have pick potential with the Ahri, but when it comes to those 5v5s, it's going to be Uzi popping off, or it might end up just being bust.
We look back towards, you know, what we wanted to see from BLG. If sadly to say, they've kind of gone back to very bad habits, in my opinion. The idea that, you know, that the early game wasn't very proactive. They had winning lanes, and it does feel like they've let EDG, you know, get to the point which you said they would be the scariest. They've let EDG get to the point where, as you mentioned, this Viego with resets, this Jinx with resets is going to be very, very difficult to deal with. The safety you get as well, the Tahm Kench to be able to try and save anyone who's overextended is absolutely massive. And I start to look at now who needs to step up for BLG, who needs to be standing up and making sure they are counted. It's got to be someone like Uzi and FoFo.
It's got to be Uzi.
Yeah, it's got to be Uzi. As much as, you know, the narrative gods of the world like to try and put this on this, but it has to be him. He's on the Zeri who can, and we have seen pop off in these kind of, you know, 4v5, 4v3 situations.
I think what really favors them is when the fights get messy and scattered, right? I think when that starts to happen, because, you know, if EDG are grouped together, they have the safety tools from the Tahm Kench, they have the stun card. If they all focus one target, that's where the resets come in. If it's scattered, that's where Breathe will flourish. FoFo can use his mobility to outplay. Uzi can ramp up and not just get focused down. So it's hard to force fights to occur like that, especially when you're behind. But that's definitely how they would sort of find favor. And again, if Uzi can ramp up in these fights on the Zeri, we've seen what this champion can do. Again, 100% win rate in this series for the Zeri so far.
Again, doesn't matter how far ahead you are looking at about a 15 CS lead here for Viper, and only a kill apiece. We've only gotten one. It's funny because we've only had 2 kills, but this hasn't felt boring. This hasn't felt like a game that has just been dragging on. It does feel like, like you mentioned earlier, the ebb and flow of this game has been very much toing and froing as we see Breathe jumping in with his team. As we go in straight away, they find themselves an advantage as Meiko gets caught, and they get the Mega Gnar as well. Flandre trying to turn this one back. Scout is untouched as they get the exhaust down. Meiko falls down, and Uzi is just free firing onto this. They get 2 quick kills. FoFo goes in, but look at Uzi just keeping in the queues, putting down that electric damage as the Pikachu is popping off. BLG find themselves 2. This is going to be on Viper, though, as he gets himself so much more damage, but he hasn't got the mana to continue.
Beautiful engage, honestly, coming out from BLG. I love the kick from WeiWei. Tahm Kench eats the Jinx. You kick the Tahm Kench back, and you get a 2-in-1 combo. Viper does survive the initial engage as a result, but BLG finds so much momentum, and the juggling off the health bars allows them to survive. That's the critical thing. We talk about resets. No one died from BLG. They weren't able to get that reset potential, but the problem is they were all so low. They may have won the fight, but they lose the dragon.
Big thing that would have been sole point here for BLG and for EDG. You just see the power you have. When we look at this replay, Scout is just untouched, throwing out gold cards, stopping them from engaging on top of any of these carries. And like you said, fantastic kick opportunity here from WeiWei.
Yeah, so engage comes in, and then WeiWei, watch the gobble. And then Tahm's kicked as he's eating, right? And we do see the Jinx is able to flash out, right? And this is when it starts to get a bit better for EDG. They all group towards Viper to disrupt the Tryndamere, and they start kiting through a choke. And no one from BLG can really push through this choke point because of the threat of the Twisted Fate, because of the Mega Gnar being there. And that's where you start to see the two different win cons of the team fights. When it's messy, BLG do well. When Viper is safe on the backline, he does good. But BLG wants someone best. They're starting this Baron.
They shred it. They're going to get the Destiny Gate out of Scout. They have a TP available for Flandre. As this Baron goes down to about 50% HP, they're going to try and go for this one here. They're still sticking onto it. They do absolutely shred it. Chris, though, has a Hex Flash. He's going to try and keep himself over the wall, but they know exactly where he is. He gets caught, though, as Scout was too busy trying to find himself onto the gold card, and now we can see Chris with that unbreakable will being whittled down, and the resets can really start to come in as Chris doesn't go down just yet. Flandre jumps in. It's a double kill for Viper as he finally pops off on this Jinx. They try to go back in with the Viego, but he's not quite got it. And that's 2 kills back to the side of EDG.
And it's a good angle from Chris, but it's not enough. The eat comes out from Meiko. It becomes a front to back again for EDG, and that's enough. And now Scout, he's looking for Breathe.
He's gonna find him as well. No Undying Rage is just about being popped. That's going to be a big cooldown no longer there, but Uzi is huge. This is going to be a very similar situation to the last one. The health bars aren't exceptional here. FoFo will get trapped. They get to get double traps down. Uzi trying to put himself into a good position. WeiWei, or sorry, Breathe,
so scary.
Is going to say they have to back away. You can't go for this right now. They will get Meiko out over the back end with the Desolate Dive, but that is going to be Baron now for EDG.
And we can kind of see again the structure that comes in from EDG. It was something that was highlighted at Worlds by Azale, is that line of assault from this team. And it does end up a bit messy at first, right? Chris comes in with a Hex Flash. He knocks Scout forwards into a precarious position, but Meiko eats him, and we get it reformed. Now, again, front to back, Flandre playing Bodyguard, Meiko playing Bodyguard. The stun card comes out, and they move forwards as a unit. Breathe, look at him. He can't approach. Uzi, he's just kiting backwards. He's not able to find it. And once those resets come in, oh, we don't get more time.
No, we do not, as we're going to see Breeze use his Gale Force and his Flash, trying to be
no
defensive about this. He has no ult just yet, but they can't finish him off. The rest of BLG is here, and this is EDG turning the cogs, getting themselves that momentum, and they are really starting to put BLG on the back foot.
Yeah, and it's so difficult for BLG. You need to find, you know, those flank potentials from the Tryndamere, the quick engages, but it's so hard that Tahm Kench really shuts it down. And when EDG have the Baron, they can just move forwards. Now, Chris is toying with the idea of a flank, but Meiko is trying to make sure he has no angle of approach.
This is just great from the side of EDG. You got, Jiejie going in with Flandre saying, look, we don't care if Chris tries to go for this. We are 6 levels between that top lane. And here we go. Here's a TP, but they know exactly where he is. They're going to try and force this one going as FoFo jumps straight in. Now he knows he's been caught out. Flandre going to say, hey, how's it going, mate? I'm going to go into Mega very, very soon. But now it's a separated fight as Chris finally finds Meiko. They get the Devourer down, and Jinx gets spat out right in front of the enemy carries as WeiWei will fall. The resets are coming in, and that's going to be enough for the side of EDG to take this fight. That being said, though, on the other side of this, we get to see now that Flandre is trying to take a 1v1 versus FoFo, but I don't think he's going to be able to take it. FoFo now on the wrong side of the map and needs to try and get himself back to safety.
Viper's still pushing here, right? No open to Tahm Kench. I think that's enough to make him back away. Dragon spawning in a minute, so the reset's going to come out. Now we'll see if Scout can... Oh, he spotted him.
Yep,
the reset.
Dead. He's dead, and that's going to be an easy kill there for Scout.
And
having the red trinket is huge there, and they just catch him out.
And look at the dragon timer, right? FoFo's going to be up 5 seconds before the dragon spawns. Kind of just rules out contesting. Yeah, TP down. EDG should just be able to pick up that objective easily, and they managed to get, you can see the top right, 3k gold lead out of the Baron power play. They're 5,000 ahead, and things aren't really looking easier. We see how this one played out. So again, engage comes onto Viper, but Meiko's there just to gobble, so that kind of slows things down. But then Viper goes very aggressive off the back of this, but watch the stun card. You get the Lee comes in, gets stunned, can't find the in second. You know, you come out of the replay, seeing Lee die. He dies again. EDG aren't even looking for the dragon right now. They're going to try and keep applying that pressure.
I mean, you got to go for it now because you can see that Zeri, the Uzi's on the top side. You will lose out on the Baron buff, but it's the Jinx with a Gnar and a Twisted Fate. They will shred through this turret, and that's exactly what they do. They have broken the base. Zeri finally here, but Uzi has only got so much he can do. When the Dragon lied, they're going to be able to pick up their soul point. This is just becoming harder and harder for BLG. EDG are just kind of becoming a bigger and better threat.
Yeah, 100%. And I think EDG are playing this one so well. They're going to pick up that dragon. Again, it's this Hextech soul. And it's not even just the soul yet, but it's the dragons, that extra ability haste. And speaking of ability haste, some of you might have noticed in Scout's inventory, he has just picked up the Chemtech Putrefy. You might be wondering, what the heck? You know, Twisted Fate doesn't have any shields, but the big thing with this item is it's very cheap, it's very gold efficient, and it offers ability haste. This is Scout wanting to have as much reduction on his cooldowns as possible for those rapid rotations off stun cards. That is essentially the goal here. You know, they get the Grievous Wounds as well. You're not going to get the empowered version because you're not shielding your allies. But basically, the process is he wants to be able to stun card in these team fights.
Big thing. You can see now BLG trying to play some Hex gameplay right now and seeing if they can catch someone out. They know there should not be any vision at all available to the side of EDG, so trying to just catch people out on a rotation. We will see the reset coming in here. The Alistar will go back and pick himself up some more wards, but it's just, again, good opportunistic gameplay. I like BLG at least looking for something like this, but EDG, they're not to be caught out. Now we come up into 30 minutes into this game. It is a 5,000 gold lead in favor of EDG. They are on sole point with that Hex Dragon. They have mid lane teaming in with super minions as well. Baron up in just over a minute. How do BLG get it? They need a miracle fight.
They have to break the standard convention, right? If you just walk at EDG, you lose. Like every single time, there's just no way to approach them where you're not going to get chunked up by Viper, stun carded, and killed. You have to find these flanks, these approaches where you're getting behind them, whether it's from just walking around or hex gating or whatever, but they aren't finding the opportunities. It's good vision setup coming out from EDG. It feels like Flandre is also always just kind of off to the side, watching out for anyone who's coming, and EDG are covering their sort of sides pretty effectively. But that's what BLG need if they're gonna be able to find something.
Oh, breathe. He just spun to win all the way into the absolute danger zone right there. Has to use his Gale Force defensively and crisp down to about a quarter of his HP. That was just very unfun for him, and it's just a very unfortunate situation there for the side of BLG. They'll need to get a reset coming in, and Breed still trying to come get something in his own jungle, but I'm sorry, Breed, that's not yours.
Yep, come push up, right? And this control's being established. A lot of deep vision on the side of EDG, and now Baron up in 15 seconds. And it's so difficult to approach, right? Because you have the Hex.
Crisp, he goes straight in. That's a 4-man knockup. Can they actually make this fight work as the Destiny Gate comes out? Look at Viper on the backside of this. Uzi tries to jump in onto Jiejie. They get the reset though onto one. That's the Lee Sin dead. Double kill for Viper as he starts to try to turn this fight all on its head. But 2 strip kills all the way back. Triple kill for Viper. It could be a bit more. It's a quadra for Viper, and it's Viper versus Uzi. It's the 280 carries left alive, and we talked about how pivotal these guys were for their teams. They're the only ones left standing.
What a fight. I thought that was lunacy from Chris, but honestly, that was the ballsiest engage I've seen all split, and I'm there for it. It's a 4-for-4, and when BLG are so far behind, they will absolutely take that. The 280 carries left standing. Viper vs Uzi still yet to die in this game. But man, oh man, I love it. I literally had no idea. I was like, you're actually hexgate here, but it worked. He just makes it such a chaotic situation where EDG are all grouped. They're like, what is this guy doing? He gets this massive pulverize. The glacial augment spreads over everyone, and it makes things chaotic, right? You see Meiko flashes in to eat Scout, but Scout has already Zhonya's. He gets caught out, and look, this is a fight where EDG are really far ahead. The fact it is so close shows how well it went for BLG.
The fact that the Scout goes in, gets kicked, doesn't land a gold card onto Uzi. This was the closest I think we've ever been to a double penta that I've ever seen in my life. That has to be the closest we've ever gotten professionally to 2 teams both getting a pentakill at the same time. As BLG keep themselves alive. Still 5,000 gold down. Important to note, though, the lot of summoners were burned. No flash of heal on Viper. No flash exhaust on Meiko. Pretty much flashes across the board. Pretty much dead now. Except for WeiWei. You have got a QSS onto Uzi, so he's not without a way of getting the cold card off of him, but this is all going to be about positioning. You're going to have the Soul in 45. The Baron is alive, and Aux, this game is so close. Neither team willing to give an inch.
Yeah, EDG definitely still ahead in this one, but it is tense. You can see Breathe looking for Scout, and I love the use of the Hex Gates, right? BLG are getting creative with this new addition in the season, and they're trying to find angles of approach to get those flanks. They now have control of the Baron area. There isn't too much vision from EDG, and they're trying to pull them from the dragon. They don't want to flip it at the dragon, because obviously if EDG get the soul, it's going to give them a big boost. So they just want to fight now for the Baron.
Here we go. Flandre not quite at Mega just yet. He will need to get a couple of auto attacks in, and here comes the Destiny Gates off to the side as to get himself over the side of the pit. We're going to go in. WeiWei almost taken down. He needs to keep himself alive. He's going to die, and that's just going to be it. Jiejie gets himself with a Heartbreaker out as the Alistar has fallen. We need to watch Viper and Uzi as they try and turn this fight back around. The Gnar has been devoured. The Tryndamere has gone down, and they get the knock up onto Uzi as FoFo running for his life. Scout running head first, but look at Uzi trying to see if he can make this fight work. There's so many low health bars. He just can't get any kills.
Can't find it in, and I think it might be the play for Uzi to head straight to Dragon, but I don't think he's going to have time. So EDG, they get the fight, they get the Baron, and they should just be able to transition this into that soul as well. Absolutely massive for the side of EDG. And again, it kind of comes back to the point, if you just face them head on, it's not going to work, right? WeiWei and Breather in the pit. They can't really do anything from this position, and Scout just locks him up for so long. He takes so much damage from the poke from Jinx and the Baron. Ends up going down, and they're not really going to win from this position with the goal discrepancy. The fact that it is going back into that front to back. EDG crushed this fight after the potential upset we saw in the previous one, and now have Baron in pocket, and I believe we saw in the picture-in-picture just picked up that soul as well. We talked about trying to approach EDG was hard. It just got harder with that Hextech soul, that slow effect from the long-range Jinx auto attacks.
Jinx, the king of ADCs right now. Those extra little bit of poke, the zap as well. Little fun fact about the zap, it does scale with your own attack speed in terms of its cast, so a cast time. So if you are at the point now, which you are as Viper, full build with the GA in hand as well, you are just going to be able to get that zap out almost instantaneously. It's what we saw from WeiWei. He wasn't expecting the instantaneous damage and gets himself caught out before he could flash back out over the pit. But take a breath, come back in. We have pretty much hit full, basically critical mask, and the thing that I'm looking at from the side of EDG is delaying tactics. The stopwatch has been burnt by Flandre, but Jiejie now has his own. You have a GA and a Zhonya's here for Viper and Scout, very much respectfully. The Destiny Gate does come out, where you gotta look for a hope, you gotta look for a Hail Mary, you gotta do something here, BLG.
Yeah, you gotta try and find the angle, but I love this from EDG solo laners. Flandre is doing this, been doing this pretty much every time EDG push. He's kind of on that flank angle, just playing bodyguard, not allowing anyone to push through him. And it means Viper can approach, get some autos onto that tower. They will take that inhibitor tower and can keep pushing forward.
He's
nearly dead.
He's nearly dead. He has to pop his ultimate just to keep himself alive. And even then, he just about gets there. We are going to see Scout going into stasis. It's a 1v3 there as Breed needs to keep himself alive. They're going to have the Baron recalls coming in. Viper gets devoured. They're not going to have that, but he also still has his GA, and that is a kill going over to EDG. They get themselves 2 more. That's a 2-kill advantage for EDG. They're knocking on the base door, and it is going to be EDG looking to try and cement themselves into playoffs. They are looking to make this one work. That's a 2-man knockup. As you can see, they're looking to make it work, but Uzi just wasn't allowed to play the game. He ends with nobody able to take him down, but the Nexus has fallen. EDG book their ticket to playoffs.
And even Uzi wasn't enough on the Zeri. Unkilled in that game, but couldn't find the headway. And I feel like BLG missed the early win conditions with their composition. They had that great creative engage from Crisp to spice things up that did find them a good